Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Unit 10, Day 3. Make sure that if you have a calculator or something, you can do this. I don't have a calculator on the iPad that I can show you, but I reassure you that if you have a calculator, that'll be handy, handy, handy. Alright, the first problem we have here is this guy right here. We got negative 2x squared minus 8x plus 10. The first thing we really need to do is we need to find what A is, what B is, and what C is. A is going to be negative 2. B is negative 8. And C is positive 10. Oh, hopefully I can get a positive 10 in there. Positive 10. Now, the first thing we need to find is that zipper, or the axis of symmetry. So, let's calculate that. Negative, parenthesis, whatever B is, which is negative 8, over 2 times negative 2. Now, I'm going to put those in parentheses because we want to do that first. This right here, 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Alright, negative 4. Let's put that down. Let's put negative 4. Negative 4 under negative 8. And it's negative power, so it's going to be negative 2. Is that right? No. Yes, negative 2. So we're going to put a axis of symmetry on negative 2. That's our zipper. Next thing is to find a point, which is called the vertex, on our axis of symmetry. We're going to use that x, it's negative 2. And we're going to find a y. Okay, so let's do our calculations right down here. Negative 2, and then negative 2 squared, plus 10. Alright, this is this right here is going to be a positive 4. Positive 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative is a positive 16. Plus 10, we have 8 plus 10 is 18. So our y value is 18. So our vertex is right here. We'll put a big X. Let's see if we can. We're going to put a big X right there. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to put a big X right there. X. X marks the spot. That's the first point we can do. Second point is the y-intercept. Y-intercept, we know x is 0, and we're going to use the c, so it's 0, 10. We're going to put a dot at 0, 10. Right on there, right there, bam. We know that there's another point that lies right on the other line of the axis of symmetry. 2 spaces from that, so we go. So if we count from this dot, we count 1, 2. We're going to put one right over here on the same spot. Same y. So we're going to go right here. Whoops. Let me put that 1, 2. So I'll put that out right there. Alright, now this is where we get to put in the other points. And we're going to do x and we're going to do y. We already know that we have negative 2 and 18. We have we need a negative 1. We have 0 and 10 and a 1 and something. So negative 1, if we were to put it in, negative 1 let's get our pointer. I'm going to sort of do it in my head so I don't have to write it all out. But it's going to be negative 1 squared. So negative 1 squared is 1 times negative 2. So that's negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 8 is positive 8. So positive 8 and negative 2 are 6. 6 and 10 is 16. Now let's do 1. Okay, 1 is a little bit more along the line. So let's do our 1. We go 1 squared is 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. We have 1 times 8. That's going to be 8, but it's a negative, so it's going to be a negative 10 there and a 0. So it's going to be 1, 0. All right, so we're going to go negative 1 and 16. And 1, 0. 1, 0 is our root. Now remember that there's matching points on the other side of the axis of symmetry. So this point, see how it's partnered up? We need another point over here that's one space off the axis of symmetry. Whoops. So let's put one, we'll put 1 point over. Bam. There's that. And our other root, it's 1, 2, 3. So we count 1, 2, 3 over. And we have our quadratic. Ooh, that's not very pretty. There you go. Now, our parabola has 2 roots, and it has a maximum height. It has a y-intercept of 10, and this is all stuff that can be labeled as you go. This is the vertex. It's a max. Here's a root. And this is called a parabola, and it's nonlinear. And it's a function. Alright, last example that we're going to do is this problem. We got negative 16x squared plus 32x. We know that A is negative 16. We know that B is 32. And we know that C is 0. Okay, I'm going to move through this pretty quick. We're going to go B, which is 32, divided by 2 times negative 16. Okay, 2 times negative 16 is negative 32 over 32. That's negative 1. No, that's positive 1 because there's a negative in front. So our axis of symmetry is 1. So we put an axis of symmetry, which is 1. Alright, and now we got to find the y. And so what we need to do is we need to plug in 1 into this problem. So we get negative 16, 1 squared, plus 32 times 1. Well, that's 1 times negative, so it's negative 16 plus 32. So it looks like the major height, or the max height is 16. So 116, so we're going to put a big X right there. That's the vertex. That's the maximum height of the dolphin. Alright, the y-intercept. We know what C is. It's 0, 0. So we can put a point at 0, 0. Now remember that our axis of symmetry keeps everything sort of alike, so we're just going to go 1 over, 1 over. We're going to put 1 right here too. Alright, so if I make a T-chart, bam, bam. Making a T-chart here, we've got 116, we have 0, 0, and we have 2, 0. What we need is we need to find sort of in between that point and the roots, the vertex and the roots. So let's find a couple more points. I think that a good point that we need to look at is this 0.5. So if we go negative 16.5 squared plus 32 times 0.5, we know that half of 32 is 16. if we do 0.5 squared, that's 0.5 times 0.5. That's negative 16 times 0.25. A quarter of negative 16 is negative 4. I subtract those two, I get 12. So in my t-chart, I'm going to build another t-chart over here. We're going to have 0.5 is equal to 12. So that is right about here. Now remember, if I go half over from the axis of symmetry, I could put another point. And if you look, it makes a nice little parabola. Okay? Maximum height of the dolphin was 16 feet. The time it entered the water was 0 and 2. The length that the dolphin was in the air was for 2 seconds. So that dolphin went up pretty quick and came down pretty quick, which is pretty nice for the dolphin. I'm going to give you some clues on your EOC review. Real quick, it's real handy if you have a calculator. If you don't have a calculator, you need to come and see me. You can work on it in my room in the mornings. But this right here is the domain. Okay? If you have a calculator, we are able to put y equals, and we can put this in and look at the table of the graph. And we can look for the ranges. That's the output of when I put each one of those in at a time. Let's look at number 2. Number 2, the range. Remember that domain is x and range is y. So instead of f of x, we can put y. The value of a stock is graphed below. What is the domain of the function? The domain is talking about the x, side to side. So what was the least amount for the weeks, and what was the greatest amount for the weeks? That's a big hint right there. I'm not going to give you the answer, but I'm giving you clues. Domain of the function shown on the graph. Remember, we're looking at the x-axis right here. The side-to-side movement. If I were to draw like a box, where would it hit? Okay. Lastly, what is the range? So range is talking about up and down movement. Alright, so it's up and down. Think about where these two lines would hit the y-axis. Lastly, once you've answered your 5 questions, don't forget to push submit. Make sure that you get it done. You want to get it done before class. Alright, have a good night, and I'll see you in class.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.